announced that Endeavor, the company that owns UFC, uh, purchased WWE and is planning to merge the two together to create a new company, which as of right now does not have a name. So this is an article, Wrestle Talk, written by Liam Winnard. So huge news. We've known for a while that WWE was planning on selling, especially once Vince McMahon forced himself back into the company. And was just like, no, it's cool. I'm back because I put in a stipulation that says I can come back if I'm going to sell the company. So there we go. It's been sold. Endeavor owns it, and everyone's like, "What the fuck does this mean?" There were rumors about this happening where on the during the press conference, there was one person who was even asking the people's like, "Hey, do you guys have any comments about this potential of this between or merger between the UFC and WWE?" And nobody had any comment. Next day, we get this. So that's basically the gist of it. That's what it is. The two companies are going to merge at some point later this
Does,
year. Go
does
ahead.
that mean like UFC fighters can like be on the wrestling, or like are they going to interchange, or like are they just two separate companies owned by a parent company type thing? Is it like
So
what does that really mean?
I mean, we don't know. Basically, we don't know, but it could. That we've seen a lot of back and forth between the two, so it could be in a sense where I wouldn't be surprised. I heard this. I can't remember where exactly, so I don't know who to credit. But one thing is UFC. Right, I don't follow UFC as much as I used to, but UFC, a lot of it is you have the fighters promoting themselves, like, who have to be good talkers. For example, Conor McGregor, one hell of a talker. That man's a fucking WWE wrestler. Let's be real. That's what he is. He's a WWE superstar who just fights for real. So with that being said, they might. I wouldn't be surprised because they have the performance center where the wrestlers learn how to wrestle and learn how to talk. I wouldn't be surprised if they have some type of situation where it's like, hey, this guy's a really badass fighter in the UFC, but he needs to work on his quote unquote promos. Send him over to the WWE Performance Center. Let him learn how to talk. Go back and fucking raise his stock in UFC. That's one thing I could see happening, kind of behind the scenes. Um, Maybe you are going to have somebody who's wants to kind of like maybe that they're at the tail end of their career in UFC, or maybe they kind of just don't want to do it no more. They want to make their way over to WWE. Maybe you have vice versa. Somebody who's just like, you know what, I'm a fucking badass. I can't really do what I want to do in WWE. Let me prove that in UFC. I could see that. I could see that going back and forth. They might have some type of stuff going on where you have somebody who is a big name, like a Conor McGregor, for example, who's just like, fuck it. If he can put on a match, let's put him on a match and have a big spectacle. Save it for WrestleMania. You know, you could have that, or Roman Reigns is inclined. I doubt he would, but who knows? Maybe they'll put Roman in the UFC cage octagon one day and see what they do there. So
There won't be anybody to save him in there.
if they merge the WWE, they'll find a way. Paul Heyman's going to be the referee. but
Someone's gonna come in and just grab McGregor's ankle or whoever it is.
yeah,
Oh
so I
man.
mean, honestly, Disco, we don't know. We don't know what it means. We're still finding out.
The one thing I would do though is I would definitely name the parent company, but I wouldn't like do what like for example what HBO and Discovery are doing where they're combining it,
Yeah.
merging it and creating a whole new name for both companies. That makes sense because they're both the same company, right? They're both entertainment content creators.
Mhm.
Here you have one is an actual combat sport and the other is an entertainment sport. Um, and they do not. It's like oil and water. It does not mix well. Um, the benefits that you stated of like UFC fighters promote themselves and they do need to do better promos. That makes absolute sense, and it could work on both their favors. Also, when fighters are, and the UFC side are kind of um, coming down from their high and like their body starting to
Ronda
come
Rousey.
down a little bit. Yeah, exactly. They can, if they're talented enough, they can switch over and do, the WWE, and that way they can share talent in a specific way. But I think they still need to be separate.
Well, they are.
They need to be
They're not
separate but
becoming one
together.
company. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna be subsidiaries of this new whatever they're gonna call it.
Okay, but
Yeah.
that parent company still doesn't have a name.
Exactly.
Okay, okay, that makes
Yeah.
a lot more sense. I just
Yeah.
thought like they were gonna merge, and I was like, this is not good.
Oh, that's weird because they're very different things. Yeah. So basically, I'm gonna get to it on the next slide here, but basically, I forgot the gentleman's name. It's Ari Emanuel, I believe, who owns Endeavor. He's still gonna be like the CEO of this new company, and then Vince McMahon's still gonna be chairman. You have Nick Khan is still gonna be the the president of WWE.
Mhm.
Dana White is still the president of UFC, and then we still have Triple H running storylines under WWE.
So Endeavor currently owns UFC.
Yeah, they bought UFC a few years ago.
Okay.
Apparently, they did a good job at the time. UFC was in pretty bad debt. Endeavor turned them into a however much $1 billion company, and they've
Well,
done
I mean, I
a
feel like
lot for them.
that was a lot to do with Dana also. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But anyway, so that's basically what comes down to with that. And then move on to the next slide here. So here we go. Like I said, I wasn't talking about this here. So basically, what is Triple H's role in this scenario? So like I said, Triple H is still going to be running the storyline stuff of WWE, or so we thought. I'll get into that a little bit later. And everybody was just like, okay, Triple H is running it. Good. He did one hell of a job this past year. Put it on a decent Mania. Had pretty good highlights. Man's been killing it in terms of storyline that people haven't really cared about it much. Before Triple H taking over. So everyone's like, okay, as long as you let Triple H do his thing, everybody's good, and that includes the fans and the wrestlers. Everybody wanted that. And then moving
Nice.
forward, it was like, okay, so if that's Triple H's role, that's what's going to happen. Then what happens with Vince McMahon's role? And so Vince McMahon, basically, like I said, he's supposed to still be the chairman. He's not going to get involved in storylines, but they stated that he does have final say for the storylines. So basically, the day
Oh
to day
god.
stuff, Triple H is running it, but at the end of the day, Vince does high level stuff, or so they say. So that's what's happening there.
Just fucking retire, man. Jesus Christ. Just retire. You did good. You really did.
You
Just
did
He's
good.
gotta let go.
just
did
He
good.
gotta let go.
fucking go already. My God.
Oh
Like
man.
I'm getting upset and I'm not even a wrestling fan. Like, yo, just get the fuck out already. Please.
Oh
Please.
man.
Tired of hearing you fuck up all this stuff.
Just look at that
Jeez.
face. Just look at that
I
face.
know. I can't stop looking at it. What's wrong with his eyebrows?
There
So
we
much Botox.
go. I can't wait till I get the image with the mustache, and I added a little flair to it. You guys are gonna enjoy it.
I
Um,
like that bandana Vince that I sent you in the
oh,
chat.
Durag Vince is the best.
A
Guess what?
durag.
Durag Vince is gonna make an appearance on this podcast, guys, because it's my favorite version of Vince McMahon.
Durag Vince. Oh God.
Anyway, what do I have on the next slide? I don't even know. Okay, so yeah, so this there was a like I said, there was like a whole thing like what the fuck's happening with this? They had all the employees have a meeting before Monday Night Raw where it was just like, "Hey, what the fuck is happening? Is Triple H still running things cuz this is how the wrestlers enjoy it. They like working under Triple H's, reign there for the storylines." So they went in there and they kind of confirmed everything I stated to you guys already. Triple H is still running everything stays the same. Nothing's going to change. You guys don't have to worry. Vince is doing his thing. Triple H is still running the show here. Everyone's like, okay. Everybody was like, all right, we're good. We're happy with that. We don't want changes. We like what you're doing. We want to keep this going. And what do I have on my next
Wait,
here?
sorry. Okay. That's yeah.
I'll go back. I'll go
I
back.
just I
Go
just
ahead.
wanted to yeah, can you go back one more?
One more.
Yeah. Yeah. So Rudy was like he looks like an old Batman villain. And yes, he does. I
He
feel like
does.
he looks like he's very close to getting to the Joker from what's his name? Um fuck, I
Jack
forgot his name.
Nicholson.
Yes, Jack
The
Nicholson's
the
Joker.
1989 Batman.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I was gonna leave it on
That's
there for a second.
yeah,
I can
it's
totally
just
see that.
right. Like you can see like that smile starting to get there because of the
Yeah.
Botox and the eyebrows and oh my God.
Oh man! Shout out to
I
you,
might
Rudy. Thank
have
you for coming by.
nightmares. I might have nightmares later.
Well, hey, that's been wrestling fans for the past few years. But let's move on. So we got
Yeah.
this. All right, so we got this one, and so we now see Mustache Vince, who was like, you know what, I want to put a picture of other famous mustache men. So I have J. Jonah Jameson, Burt Reynolds, Tom Selleck, and then Gomez Adams from the Adams family, just surrounding Vince now that he's one of the mustachioed men of the universe.
God.
So yeah, so basically, a lot of people were just like, hey, so we're cool with Vince doing his thing, Triple H doing his thing, and then Monday Night Raw happened. Apparently, Monday Night Raw happened, and Vince McMahon was sitting in the gorilla position running the entire show. And everyone's like, what the fuck? You said that he wasn't doing this. It's going to be Triple H. Monday Night Raw had a lot of last minute changes.
Hmm.
And they had a couple matches that were supposed to take place that they removed and did bullshit matches that people didn't enjoy. A lot of things happened there, and everyone's just like, this isn't cool. So you have people jumping in there, and they're just like, you know what? If Vince McMahon's still going to stay in power, I'm leaving this fucking company. I don't want to work here.
Yeah.
And why is that, guys? Remember for like a whole fucking year where I kept on saying, hey, Powerbomb Weekly, I'm going to talk about who Vince McMahon fired? A lot of those people got rehired, and they're just like, well, now that he's back, I don't want to work for this man. He fucking
Yeah.
fired me.
Yeah. Are they
So
leaving too?
that's the thing. So a lot of people are saying, hey, if he remains in power, if he keeps on running shows, we're out. Some people said that they're going to quit. Some people said that they're just going to wait for their contract to finish. Other people stated they're going to look and see what other options there are in the wrestling world.
Oh. Okay.
So we have that,
He
and
look
then we have
he looks like a Nazi or something. What was he what was he thinking?
I don't know. It's that, and then it's the jet black hair dye. Like you saw an earlier picture, he doesn't look like that. Like his hair isn't like that. Um, so we got that, and then what's it called? Now a few people to name. Now, Disco, you said you liked Oscar very much. This, that, and the other. She did put
Yeah.
out a tweet right after a match. I don't remember exactly what it stated. I don't have it here readily available, but it was something along the lines of like, you know what? Maybe I should just go back to Japan.
Oh damn. No.
So we have that. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if that's a storyline stuff. We don't know. And then we also have Bailey, who was very prominent. She was in another match. I didn't mention earlier, guys. Trish and Lita wrestled at this WrestleMania. They were teamed up with Becky Lynch for the going up against Bailey and Damage Controls, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai. But anyway, Bailey, big name in the wrestling company. She said something along the lines of sometimes the all romantic story. No, she said all romantic stories come to an end or something like that. And like, that's weird. And it was like shortly after like this whole thing with Vince came out, how he was running the show. So everyone's like, fuck, I don't know. It's like a lot of people are looking like they're not happy about Vince being back, obviously. And what do I have next here? Oh, do-rag Vince. Um, so apparently, so he made a couple changes. I already said some of them. There were supposed to be two triple threat women's championship matches where the winner of each would fight each other and then would go on to fight the women's champion. Instead, Vince McMahon's like, no, I want to see Amos beat somebody in a few minutes. I was like, why? Like, why? We had a whole like storyline built so we could see who's the next number one contender for the women's championship. He's like, all right, we do have to have the women wrestle. Let's just have them do a tag team match. It doesn't really matter. It's like, okay, thanks, Vince. So we had that. Like I said, the storylines were changing up to, I think they said up to like an hour before they actually had to occur on TV. He was in there rewriting scripts, and everyone's like, "What the fuck are we doing here?" So back to the old ways of how Vince was. Do rag Vince, man. Do rag Vince.
He's doing too much, man.
It's so much. So this is another one I have that didn't mention that did happen. Now I think there was a change here, but Seth Rollins, prominent wrestler in WWE, he's the guy who fought Logan Paul. They had this weird segment where he came out to the ring, and people like chanting like his theme song thing. He came out to the ring, everybody was chanting. They cut to commercial. They come back, and he's walking backstage. I was like, "What the fuck was that? That was weird." And then people were speculating, yeah, so what happened was he was out there and then they had somebody who was in the arena recording. He was talking to somebody ringside. He looked like he might have been upset. And then he was just like, hey, guys, blah, blah, blah. He said something. They cut back from commercial and then he walks backstage. People were speculating that he was supposed to go out there, give a promo, and then they had a rewrite right then and there and just like, okay, go backstage, you're done. So that was that. And now they're stating that that's not the case. They're saying this was what was supposed to happen from the beginning. He was supposed to have to go out there, do nothing, and leave. If you believe it, if you don't believe it, take it for what it is. We don't
I
really
don't
know.
believe it.
Only they know.
I don't believe it. That seems insulting too. To be
It's
like
happened before.
last minute, last second.
So back when Jericho came back to WWE one of his many times, he did this thing where he would come out. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, Jericho's back!" He came out, he grabbed the microphone, everybody started cheering, he put it down, give everybody high fives, and he would just run backstage. He did that for like 4 weeks, and it was funny because it's like only Chris Jericho could fucking pull this off. But yeah, so it could be real. I mean, I don't know. We don't really know. And this is my last story here, guys. I want to mention real quick. Actually, no, I want to save that. I don't want to ruin that. One last thing I want to mention. I don't have an article here. All day on Twitter today, it's been trending. fire Vince on Twitter, where everybody wants Vince McMahon to get fired because they're like, "Fuck this, we don't want this. We enjoy Triple H's reign. We don't want this to come back." Um, so much that there was like a whole petition online where they were just like, "Hey, let's hijack SmackDown." Um, Shows have been hijacked in the past where the fans just chant and don't let the wrestlers do anything. They don't let them talk. They just kind of talk over them, shout over them. Sometimes they have beach balls going around. They just act like insane people in the audience. Um, so the plan is for people to hijack SmackDown and just keep chanting "Fire Vince" until the Ari Emanuel of the Endeavor hears this and
I'm about to
responds.
go join them.
So it is what it is. I've heard other articles say that Ari, I already forgot his name, Emmanuel, was just like he's very high on having Vince there. He enjoys having Vince there. I don't know if that's true. If the fans try to hijack SmackDown, that's all well and good. I don't know if things have changed, but from what I remember, SmackDown is pre-recorded and they can pipe in and pipe out sounds, which they do whenever you have a wrestler who's very unpopular. They put in fake cheering to have them sound like they're more popular. So if they do have that power still for SmackDown, if you have the fans shouting stuff, they could just take that sound away and just pipe it in with people cheering.
That is
They
true.
can't do that on Raw though, because Raw is
Yeah.
live.
Yes.
I think on NXT, I didn't get a chance to watch it. People were chanting, fire Vince and shit like that during NXT. But yeah, we did have that. And Rudy, yes, we did glance over Pat McAfee because it was just not. It was very forgettable. But we got that. And then I do want to end this on a different note here. It is a little bit of somber. WWE legend does pass away. Bushwhacker Butch on the left there, one half of the Bushwhackers. This story written by Connell Rumsey. They were a fun tag team in WWE. They were very comical. And before their time at WWE, they were called the Sheep Herders, which is, I know it's a weird name, but they were like these two guys you didn't fuck with because they just would like murder you. So it's sad to
They
see
look like
Bushwhacker.
rednecks.
Well, they're rednecks from Australia or New Zealand. I can't remember which.
Makes a lot of
Hence
sense.
Bushwhacker.
Ah,
So yeah, what happened was during WrestleMania weekend that you have like all the different promotions they're putting on major shows, and they have WrestleCon where they have people like doing signings and stuff. So Bushwhacker Butch, that's so difficult to say, was supposed to be on a flight to LA to do some meet and greets. Apparently, he took the flight, got very ill, went to a hospital, and then he passed away shortly after. So on his way to greet the fans. So he was still involved in wrestling at that point. So it's sad to see him go. Shout out to or our condolences rather to all family and friends, everybody involved in this. But I believe that's everything I have. Yeah, that's my last story. I've been talking a lot. Apologize.
nah, man, that was great. Yeah,
Yeah.
and fuck Vince. But i- i- hashtag Vince needs to quit. Fire Vince. That's
Hashtag Vince needs to quit Fire Vince. Get it
yes.
trending, guys.
Those are two separate hashtags. Hashtag Vince needs to quit or hashtag Fire Vince.